What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy, Go Black to Africa. So I want to go ahead and give you all a opportunity to meet a brother, JB Zion, to be exact, who is doing some great things for our people in the community, whether it is in the country of America, whether it's globally, internationally, that he's really is hitting on some areas to where people's eyes are being open. What I love about the brothers, it reminds me of myself when I was back at his age, a man zealous for the Almighty, got a heart for the people, a love, a kindness that really is trying to bring people to an awareness and an eye-opening experience so that we can realize the power that is really within us, who we are as a people. Not only that we ain't black people, we are the people. We are the chosen people. We are the people that was given and planted on this earth first and foremost. That scientists scientifically proved that the man of color is the origin of humanity. And so my thing is that I came across my brother's channel quite about a month or so ago, I guess. And the I had reached out to you, didn't I, JB, and left a comment to you and stuff. And I really started to check out some of his videos. I said, this brother right here now, this young man here is on some fire. He's doing some things. So it would be unjust for me not to introduce you to people who are on, who is in the line in the line within a struggle trying to bring a people out of Babylon, whether it's spiritual, mentally, physically. Everybody ain't got to leave America or Canada, Europe, or what have you, but you can leave it mentally and spiritually, instead of physically. And so JB Zion is the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, got more rhymes than Biden got power. So, my thing is that, hey, brother, introduce yourself however which way you want, and let's go ahead and rock with it.
First, I want to say shalom. But before I do all that, I got to thank the brother, my big bro, Go Black, for just allowing me to be on the platform. Man, if I sound nervous, y'all bear with me because I'm just geeking out. Like, this is one of my idols that I look toward just as encouragement and motivation in the work that he's doing. I've been trying to do, and learning a lot from what he's been doing. But I want to say shalom, peace, blessings,
Yes.
prosperity,
Wow.
black power, and life to all of our people, our diaspora brothers and sisters that are scattered, those that are still in the continent of Africa, and not just y'all, but any other people that are viewing that might not be a part of the diaspora. I greet y'all as well, because our history is not just black history, but it is world history, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm just grateful to be here, and I hope that y'all can get something out of our discussion and how we connect the ancient Judean African people with the Bible. So I hope y'all get something out of it. And yeah, I'm gonna turn it back over to Go Black.
Yeah, I know. And this thing right here, I want people to know. So let me put a disclaimer out here. This is not trying to sway people into anything in their spiritual walk. It may cause friction within your religious walk, but it's all about bringing awareness and an education to a people, and that's what it's all about. Because we have been indoctrinated by the world system in believing that this Bible, Bible, has originated from Europe, coming from King James, and thinking we have been told by them that this was the word of God, that they have deemed that they were in the place really of the chosen instead of the truth that's being told.
Hey.
JB is going to get into this right here, so I'm going to release the floor to you, brother. However, which way you deem necessary, please just guide me along the way when to share the screen. And if I have a question or two, please forgive me in coming in and answering that question that I might feel that maybe some of the people need to for you to may bring some clarity to.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, family, I'm gonna do a little intro, and then I'm gonna allow Go Black. I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna show some of the sources, right? Because everything I'm saying to you guys, I want you guys to fact check. I want you guys to search it out. And to all my brothers and sisters that come from a Christian background, come from a church background, I got some heavy stuff for you that's gonna help reconcile our history as African people to the ancient Judean people. I'm gonna come with receipts. That's all I do. I come with the receipts, come with the facts, show you some Jewish encyclopedia, Jewish virtual library, Tel Aviv library, Harvard studies, Oxford sources, Cambridge verified sources. I'm gonna give y'all everything that it takes to show you how our people can be unified under the umbrella of the ancient Judean people. So first, I'm just going to kind of allow you guys' mind to kind of shift if you're still thinking about white Jesus and that cat Caesar Borgia that never existed, right? Historically, I'm going to transition you from the European mindset to the Bible thousands of years ago, 2,000 years during the time of Yeshua or Jesus, and another 3,000 or 4,000 years before him when you look at Moses in the Old Covenant. So first, I want to let you guys know the Bible is not the white man's religion. I got to go ahead and let all y'all know. The Bible is not the white man's religion. And I know that's heavy because a lot of y'all, even when we pray, like I had to detox from that, like to be honest, like you close your eyes and you see this white image of Jesus, you see this white man, and you have to kind of transition your mind because a lot of our people have the misconception that the Bible is the white man's religion. Now, what I will say is Christianity is the white man's religion. And a lot of y'all are like, well, how is Christianity the white man's religion, but the Bible isn't? You had Europeans during the time of Constantine around circa 325 AD. The Romans, their empire was in decline. So Constantine saw the hope or the promise within the Judeo scriptures that he could mobilize the religion and use it as a world religion to unify the Roman Empire and enslave the masses, right? So Christianity was a weaponized form of Judaism, an African book, the Bible being an African culture for the ancient African Hebrew Israelites. Constantine used their culture, weaponized it, and implemented in a series of conquests to be able to enslave the earth under a lot of doctrinal tenets. Now, so when you look at Christianity today, white Jesus, Easter baskets, Christmas trees, a lot of this is the post-Council of Nicaea, the post-Roman adoption of the Bible, right? But the Bible from the beginning, family, if y'all don't catch anything else I say, the Bible from the beginning was an African Judean book. It is the history, like I like to say, it's the last remaining offshoots of the black rulership in the earth. The Bible, and I hope y'all catch that, the Bible is the surviving artifact of when black people ruled the earth, the African Hebraic Israelites being the last remnant of when African people ruled. And this is why the cross is a big image for white people, because it shows that image of our history being crucified literally and metaphorically. So it's a lot. So first I want to kind of share some stuff with you guys about how that Bible is an African book. And I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go into more detail linking the name of Africa to a Shemitic term. Because as y'all may or may not know, the word Africa is not a Hamitic or Ham Kemetic term. The oldest phrase for Africa is Akebulan, which is the motherland, and ancient Kemet refers to when Ham's descendants had sway over the continent. But Africa, this is a relatively new term, which the Romans coined that goes back to the Afri, or the people of Afri. And I'm going to prove to y'all that that's linked to Israel, specifically the northern kingdom. So y'all, I'm finna jump into it. First, the first rivers that you hear mentioned in the Bible are the rivers that surround the region of Ethiopia. The Tigris, the Handakel, the Euphrates. You can read about this in Genesis chapter 2. So off the rip, the law first mentioned shows us that the Bible itself, the first area that is described is Africa. I know that's heavy. Africa is mentioned upwards of 800 times, right? More than Greece or Europe. You do not see that mentioned, but more than 4 to 10 times in the scriptures. So Europe is not even mentioned, but a handful of times throughout the scriptures. If you include the Apocrypha texts, the books that were removed out of the Bible, such as Maccabees, you see the rise of the white man's power, right? The Greco-Roman Empire under Alexander the Greek. But outside of that, the Bible is African. The first rivers mentioned is Africa. Africa and Egypt are mentioned upwards of 800 times, but not just that. See, now this is where things get tricky. The ancient Shemitic people mixed in with the ancient Hamitic people so much that you could not tell them apart historically. And I'm going to give y'all some history background. When you look at Moses, Moses was raised in Pharaoh's house while that same Pharaoh was on a campaign to kill every Hebrew man-child. Now, this is the prelude to J. Edgar Hoover, the prelude to COINTELPRO, where you have the spirit of another nation trying to modulate and control our people. Even back then, they were trying to prevent the rise of this Messiah. If you look at Josephus, one of the prized Jewish historians, They believe that Pharaoh believed a Messiah leader was going to come out of Israel even when they were in Egypt. So they had all the Egyptians throw the Hebrew man children into the river. Now, this is that same spirit going on today, y'all. But not just that, how was Moses able to be raised in Pharaoh's house and Pharaoh not sniff that brother out? Because he was trying to kill all them Hebrew man-childs. But not just that, Moses, the very instrument that he was trying to destroy, was raised up in Egypt. But we see that a lot of the patriarchs were mistaken as Egyptians, not just Moses. When you look at Joseph, the patriarch in the Bible, a lot of y'all may know about Joseph with the coat of many colors. His brother sold him into Egypt. When they came to Egypt during the time of the famine, they could not recognize Joseph. Not just that, but Christ in Matthew chapter 2, when Herod was going, the Edomite, now I'm going to show y'all the Edomites are modern Europeans, but that's a whole nother thing. But Herod and Rome were trying to exterminate Christ as he was a child. The Bible says that Christ went into Africa to hide. So this sets the stage that the Shemitic people, the ancient Israelites, were known for going into that continent throughout time, right? Moses was in Egypt. Joseph was in Egypt. Christ went into Egypt to hide. Paul, and way in the New Covenant, was mistaken as an Egyptian himself, y'all. So I'm doing all this to reclaim that book. I got to let y'all know that Bible is an African, a Black history book when you look at what went on. Not just that, but some of the patriarchs, Judah, who was the father of the Judean people, the tribe of Judah, his first wife was an African woman. Eber, where we get Hebrew from, his wife was an African woman. Joseph was married to an Egyptian woman who gave birth to Ephraim and Manasseh. And I'm going to prove to y'all that Joseph's descendants are what is responsible for the naming of the modern continent of Kemet, or Africa, right? So I'm going to share my screen a little bit. I just want to let you guys know some of this stuff to show you that the Bible, don't think about white Jesus. Think about from a historical standpoint, that book is a Black book. Before the Romans, before the Europeans got hold of that heritage, it was a Black book. So I'm going to pull my screen up. If Go Black is cool with that, I'm kind of...
Yeah, let me just say, people, that, this is an opportunity for you all to, take heed to what is being said spiritually, not mentally. Because, see, when we want to try to always use our head knowledge based upon what you've received in, and you hear anything that is foreign, then it causes a rift, it causes a friction within you, and you're going to go ahead and try to deny it. But what I like is that sometimes when you kind of lean on people who's done the further studies, who's gone the further lengths, who's done the homework, and they have basically presenting something that is beyond in your understanding, just consider. That's all I'm saying, is just consider. So let's get into it, JB. Let you go ahead, man, and share your screen, and let's go ahead and do this thing.
All right, so I'm gonna pull up my screen. Let me make sure I can remember how to get it up right. Let's see. Hopefully everybody can see it right now. I'm gonna pull up some sources, and because everything that I tell you guys, I want to get your brain thinking outside of the white Jesus mindset that we've been taught for so long. A lot of our people have become discouraged with the entire concept of Christianity or the Bible, because it's been given to us from a Western mindset. Now, like I said, the Europeans, the best tool to conquer your enemy is to take truth and use that against the people you're trying to enslave. And that goes into Willie Lynch, the whole tactic of being able to divide and conquer and use one's history against them, right? So what I'm showing you guys right now is the Yoruba oral tradition. Now, y'all, I don't want to lose y'all, but I want to go a little bit into the detail of the African tribes that we come from as a people, and prove that those African tribes are linked to ancient Israel. Now, there were specific tribes that were targeted during the transatlantic slave period. It was not a gamble of dice. These were not random tribes. If you do your My True Ancestry or your 23andMe, I'm going to pull up mine for a second. If you do your DNA testing, what you're going to run into is our people being linked to Yoruba, Igbo, and West African tribes. These West African tribes or tradition going back to Israel, but they were specific tribes before I jump to that part. So you're going to encounter things like the Yoruba people, the Igbo, the Ashanti, the Limba, the Mandinka, a lot of these sub-Saharan Bantu speaking people today. Now, I'm gonna go to my 23andMe and just kind of verify this information. 23andMe, I did my paternal testing, and it gave me a nomenclature of EZ16052. And just to give y'all a little working knowledge, I know this might be a lot, but I don't want to lose everybody. Your paternal DNA is basically saying, what is my father's lineage, right? If I do my maternal test, it's going to test my mother's lineage. So y'all just kind of bear with me with the terminology. But if you do your paternal testing, most of the diaspora of our people are going to fall into haplogroup E. Now, haplogroup E, mine is Z16052. If you kind of do some research into that DNA, you'll find that it is a subgroup of the haplogroup E1B1A. So most of our people are going to fall within this group if you do your testing. And this is linked to specific people in Africa. It was not random when they took our people into slavery. They targeted a specific family, right? But not just that. I'm going to show you guys my GED match that compares my DNA with multiple people. It shows you that not just like when you look at the chromosomes, not only is our DNA linked to sub-Saharan West Africa, but there is a connection with Northern Africa or Morocco and specific. So y'all kind of keep that in mind when we're talking about this, that there were specific tribes that were taken during the transatlantic that had a specific DNA set. And I'm going to read one of them, the Yoruba people. If y'all do your testing, you're going to run into these people. And I'm going to retrace their oral tradition to show you where they come from. Now, the children of Ephraim of Nigeria live among the Yoruba nationalities. Their oral history tells that the children of Ephraim, B'nai Ephraim, people come from Morocco after the Jews were banished from the Iberian Peninsula sometime in 1492. Now, wait a second. This is saying children of Ephraim, Israel, right? These are Israelites. Now, just to give you some background, I don't know how much history y'all may know with the Bible, but when you look at the children of Israel, Jacob, one of the patriarchs in the Bible, had 12 sons. These 12 sons became the 12 tribes of Israel, right? One of those tribes is said to be Ephraim, right? Ephraim was one of the sons of Joseph, and we see that tribe became so numerous that I'm going to prove to y'all became modern Africa today, right? So we see this family of the children of Israel, children of Ephraim, living in Nigeria among the Yoruba nationalities. Now, if you go to just some fact checking, Cambridge University is going to kind of verify this oral tradition that speaks of in southern Nigeria, the natives call the Black Jews the strange people or the Imo Yokwayim. They are called the B'nai Ephraim, sons of Ephraim. They claim that their ancestors came from Morocco, and this is supported by Godby, who noted that their language is a mixture of Maghrebian Arab, ancient Hebrew, and local patois. Now, just to kind of break this down a little bit further, the oral tradition of the Yoruba people that live there today is that they migrated. And I'm going to show you guys that to unify the entirety of our people, the heartbeat is Morocco. Now, if you look at, say, a DNA test that tests your DNA on old bones, I'm going to show you my true ancestry. It broke down my composition as being Yoruba plus Al-Andalus. Al-Andalus is a Arabic term for Muslim Spain during the time of the Moors. The time of the Moors that ruled the earth, y'all, this is strong African history, right? When you start digging into Africa and the time that our people were ruling, when you look at the Songhai Empire, the Mali Empire, this was during the time of the Moors when they reigned from around 711 AD to 1492. Now, a lot of our people are not aware of this in the diaspora, but our DNA is directly linked to these Moors. Mine says Yoruba plus Moor at a distance level of 14.5. So right now I'm trying to link North Africa, Morocco, that kind of thing, with sub-Saharan Africa, which is where they took the Negroes from, which they took the people that they scattered during the transatlantic. This is linked to the Morocco region, Mauritania, and that kind of thing. So when we look back at the oral tradition of the Yoruba,
now let me pause real quick, because I said I was going to interject here or two, right? What you just said is what I think people do not pick up. when it came to Africa, selling some of the people to the Europeans, they had a selection of those who they knew was not their own. What you're getting into is that when it came to doing trade with the European and getting rid of some of the or selling over some of the Africans, these were some of the Yoruba people or the so-called Jew people that many by the multitudes were put on them ships and sent over into the Americas. Am I correct in what you're hearing, what I'm hearing you saying?
Facts.
Now that's when people need to tie themselves and understand, wow, I am the chosen. Because when I had to go into Africa and research, why would they sell their own people? Hold up. Not everybody they would consider own. There is many of tribes in Africa, but when you had a migrating Jewish people or Jew people coming across and selling in different parts of the regions, they weren't countries then. When the Europeans came in, they found the Africans kind of found in a sense that it would be better go ahead and sell these people off, and then my mama, my granddaddy, and them that are really close, tight knit to my inner circle, and these people will be sold off. Though we are still of kingmanship, still they chose like what's the name sold his brother into Egypt. I just lost my thought now. Huh?
Joseph with
Joseph. Yeah. And so this is what brother said, and I didn't want y'all to miss that. Go ahead on, brother.
And I do want to kind of piggyback on that. I'm so glad he brought that up. But when we're talking about like the African tribes and that kind of thing, there were specific ones that were targeted. This does not separate us from the common stock of the other African tribes, but there is a history of the ancient Negro Africans before the Europeans came in there, that our people are the surviving remnant of that people. So a lot of y'all may have heard about the Moors and that kind of thing, those people that ruled and were at the northern region of Africa. But today you might look at North Africa and be like, man, them fair-skinned people, they're white Europeans. When you look at the Middle East today, you see white folks, you see fair-skinned people. These were not the original people that were in that area, right? When you go back in time, you see, and I got some Harvard studies that I can go into, and I can drop the link for that. But basically, there's Harvard studies that prove that there was Negro DNA in these areas before the Europeans. So what has happened is they've separated our people from the entire history of the African continent. They've separated North Africa from sub-Saharan Africa, even though the Negroes that they took in the slave period, at some point, we were in North Africa during the time of the Jews in Spain. Now, if you look at a map, Spain connects to Morocco at the Gibraltar Strait. So there was a lot of interaction between Iberia or Al-Andalus, Spain, all of that is the same thing. There's a lot of interaction between Spain and the entirety of Africa, y'all. So a lot of that history of the Moors in Spain, that is our history. And the descendants of that people that went deeper into Africa are the ones that they targeted and sent in the slave trade. Now, there's even Bible, the Bible prophecy, and I give all glory to the Creator, the Most High Yah, for this information, because the Bible is a history book that tells you these things were going to happen, that a certain family of Israel would be scattered to the four corners of the earth, and no other people have gone through that except for so-called African Americans, so-called Caribbeans, so-called Afro-Brazilians. Those that are children of the diaspora are the only people that fit those prophecies. Now, the people in the land today is the same spirit of colonization that has been going on since this whole era of the white supremacist power construct. I got to tell y'all that since they came into power, a lot of history has been stolen, which is African history. Now, Africa itself, y'all, is named after a Shemitic term going back to Ephraim, going back to Israel. And a lot of y'all are like, what? And I can prove all of this stuff with y'all. And I hope that this is just a beginning build, because I want to be able to share more and more of this information. But I want you guys to get that the tribes we came from in Africa, these were specific Israelites that were targeted, y'all. These were a specific segment of people. So now I'm going to go back to the share screen and kind of just give y'all some history on these tribes.
Let me get some clarity, brother, real quick. Go ahead and get your screen together. You said what does it mean going back? What did you say? Means what was the meaning?
to go back to Africa, or to the
Yeah,
meaning
you
of.
said the word you said well Ephraim
Oh,
is
yes.
yeah,
Ephraim,
you said going back. Go ahead.
yes. When you look at going back to around 700, maybe 700 BC, you see that during the fall of 10 of the tribes of Israel, there was a migration from Assyria, upper Middle East, into the continent of Africa itself. And a lot of scholars believe that is where the name Africa today comes from. Now, the word Africa, the suffix ka at the end, is merely denoting the people of. So ka is the people of Afri, like the people of Afri. When you study Afri, specifically the Banu Afri, you find a family that lived in Morocco, so an ancient Moorish family. So the name Africa is linked to the Moors, an ancient Moroccan family that are said to be descendants of Ephraim, who is descendants of Israel. So every time we say Africa, family, this is a Shemitic term that the Creator has hid the identity of the continent within the very name of Africa itself, which goes back to Ephraim, the son of Joseph, the son of Jacob, whose name got changed to Israel. So Israel is the father of the Israelites. One of those tribes of the Israelites, Joseph, his son Ephraim, went into what is today Africa and became those ancient Moroccan people. When you talk about the Berbers, the Amazigh people, Amazigh meaning noble family, that noble family of ancient Amazigh people were actually Israelites by ethnicity, Moors by nationality, and a lot of different organizations teach these things. You can look into the Moors, the Moor Science Temple, Moor Zion Temple. Hebrew Israelite groups also know about this history. A lot of Kemetic brothers know, but we haven't pieced all of this African history together to know that, whoa, we are the chosen people. That continent belongs to the African Israelite people. That was the northern kingdom that 10 of the tribes of Israel split from 2 of the other tribes and inhabited that region, blended in, and became synonymous with the people. Because we already see in the Bible, I'll let you guys know, that Moses was raised in Pharaoh's house. Joseph was mistaken as an Egyptian. Christ went into Egypt to hide. Paul was mistaken as an Egyptian. So our people blended in with that people throughout history so much that the entirety of the continent today, I'm talking about upwards of 80% of the tribes in the continent today, are actually Israelites by blood. And I can prove those things. So
now, let me say this response to Brandon out here. See, we have to understand there was been a bait and a switch going on. See, what people consider the Jewish people, those who were of the European descent, who were exposed, or he said expulsion or expelled out of these countries, he thinks that they are the ones who are the Jews. And I'm saying this right here, family, is that when you talk about those who were studying Judaism, they were calling themselves Jews beyond knowing that the link that knowing that you are linked through the so-called heritage or the genealogy back to the so-called father of the Jew is beyond in what many of us believe, that we actually fit into that puzzle, if you will. So Brandon's making a statement that because we have been told these things that, oh, they are the Jews because they were expelled out of all these places and they were sent over there to Israel. No. That's the bait and switch. You see, the reason why many people want to associate themselves to be called Jews is because of Judaism. You can study the Bible and call yourself Christian, study the Quran and call yourself a Muslim, and you can study Judaism and call yourself a Jew. It don't make you one, though. Facts. Go ahead on, brother.
Facts. And I got to deal with that. I'm so glad that my brother jumped in with that, because sometimes I kind of get going and I forget. I'm going to have to slow some of these things down to kind of show you some of the basic words that we take for granted. A Jew in the Bible did not mean a person that practiced Judaism. Keep in mind, the people in that land today go back to 1948, go back to Germany, go back to Europe. But this was not 2,000 years ago. When you look at the Bible, the word Jew was somebody that came from Judah, who was one of the sons of Israel. This was an ethnicity. So a person can practice the Bible, practice Torah, practice Judaism, and not be the people. That's the deception. So especially with a people like our people who had our identity hijacked. Another people took our whole culture, and now they tell you that because they're keeping your culture and they stripped you, Toby, they beat you upside the head, Toby, changed your name from Kunta so you're disenfranchised from your history of who you are. We can't let everything that looks like a duck be called a duck, because what happens if the wolf comes in the sheep's clothing and now we think, oh, that's the sheep? No, no, no. You have to look at the ancient people going before 1948 and that kind of thing. Now, I'm glad that brother brought up the expulsion of the Jews. I got to deal with it. When we look at, I got a lot of sources. The Jewish Encyclopedia is one of them. When you look at any history on the Moors, let me show y'all some of these books. Light and Truth is one of them. You can look at Stanley Johnson, The Moors of Spain, right? When you look at these books, the ancient Moors, Moor does not signify an ethnicity. There were some Moors that practiced Islam, but there were a lot of Moors that practiced Torah. We think those Jews that got expelled were white folks. Them was not white folks. When you look at history, even the Jewish people will tell you that the majority of those Moorish Jews fled into Africa. This is via the Jewish Diaspora Encyclopedia that they will tell you. And that oral tradition I showed you about the Yoruba, they said they came from Morocco when the Jews were banished. Wait a second, the Yoruba, they're black. They're in Nigeria. They said that they came when the Jews were banished. These were not white people in antiquity. I got to tell y'all, white people have whitewashed history so well that they almost have you fight against your birthright because you don't know that this is your history. Our history was those ancient Israelites that originally dwelt in that land, that originally were in Palestine before 1948. That's why they're fighting over there today. They're like, who are these people? The prime minister, Gamal Abdul Nasser, the second prime minister of Egypt, said that these Jewish people over there today will never have peace because they left black and came back white. And I will pull that screen and y'all can Google Gamal Abdul Nasser. They left black and came back white to show you that the Jewish people today are not the ancient Israelites. In Revelation 1:14, it says that Christ's skin was the color of brass as if it was burnt in a furnace. He had hair like the pure wool. Wait a second. Who is those people over there today? Who are those people that look and say that they are Jews and are not? The people in the Bible were blue black people. I got to tell y'all, Christ, his mama, the book of Daniel says that the God of heaven himself has hair like the pure wool. That's in Daniel chapter 7. Revelation 1:14. When you look at Moses looking just like the Egyptians. So the Jews expelled out of Spain were Negroes. These were Negro people. These were black people. They went deeper into the continent. This is where the sub-Saharan Negro came from, and then they were sent into slavery. Today, they've whitewashed northern Morocco, North Africa, and the Middle East to separate our history from the ancient Israelites.
Let me tell you one thing too, brother, and then you can continue. I want you people to go and look up Operation Moses and Operation Solomon and see that those who are Jews, not Jewish, because they don't wish they were Jews, those who are Jews were sent out of Ethiopia because they were being persecuted and wants to go to Israel. That's Operation Moses. They had the air flights and all that, getting all of the Jews out. No different than if it was in the South of Africa, whether it was in West Africa, whatever. We are scattered around, but check those operations out. Now, the interesting thing is that those Ethiopians who are there in Israel are still being persecuted from those who are calling themselves Jews. Okay, go ahead, brother.
Strong facts. They had 3 separate airlifts. Operation Japheth, I think. Operation Solomon. They had Operation Sheba. They had multiple airlifts to take those Beta Israel of Ethiopia that traced their descendants to Menelik I, who was the offspring of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. They have this oral tradition to this day. But like the brother said, they are persecuted by the Ish people. It's the same colonist spirit, y'all. Just what I tell y'all, white Jesus is white supremacy. That man never existed, but he is that people taking those people's history. And this is a system that's at work today. So when you look at the Beta Israel in the land today, they live in the poor sides of town. Their drinking water is tainted. They live in the project ghetto type regions in the land of Israel. This is not talked about, but a lot of them, there's been suicides that have taken place by this family of people because they are discriminated against by the European idea of Jewish people. So we can't let what we think about the Israelites based on white supremacy detract us from that culture, detract us from their heritage. They tell us the ancient Egyptians was white. Every movie you see the white Egyptian looking people. This was not the Egyptians during the time of Ramses, during the time of the ancient pharaohs, thousands of years ago, right? These were a dark-skinned people. So now I'm going to show you guys some more sources to prove to y'all that the continent itself is named after Israel. I'm going to pull that. Okay, now back to the Cambridge source. So the Yoruba is just one of the main tribes that we're going to find ourselves linked to as the diaspora. A lot of y'all may have already done this DNA, said, yeah, we know we're Nigerian, we're West African, we're below the Sahara Desert and that kind of thing. But we don't know these were specific tribes. Now, I've done my test with African ancestry that can give you your specific tribe that you come from. They swab the inside of my mouth. You just send that tube in, and they won't just tell you West African. They won't just tell you Nigerian. They'll say you are Igbo of Nigeria. You are Yoruba of Nigeria. So I've done all this testing, family, and 65 to 70% of the diaspora come from these tribes. Why don't I say 100%? Because the slave owners were sleeping with slave women, which is a European influence that came in as well. So that's why the paternal group is not going to be across the board. So when we see on this Cambridge source, now I'm going to show you, this is by Ulysses Santa Maria, Cambridge University Press. He documents these Black Jews. In southern Nigeria, the natives call the Black Jews the strange people are the Imo Yokwayim. They are called B'nai Ephraim, are the sons of Ephraim, who is the son of Joseph, the son of Israel. Now, that's just one source. If you look at the Jewish Virtual Library, they talk about Morocco originally being Jewish. Now, I'm going to skip down to the second sentence. It says, it's Morocco's winter-summer premier resort area. According to Judeo-African tradition, y'all, they didn't took our heritage, y'all. They've hijacked our culture. According to Judeo-African tradition, the Wifran are regarded as the first site of Jewish settlement in Morocco. Morocco is North Africa. Many legends have been created about this ancient community whose first members are said to have come from Eretz Israel. Israelites in Morocco, Israelites in Africa, before the destruction of the first temple. That means this happened a long time ago, family. The ancient people in that continent had come from that area of Northeast Africa. Africa is on the same tectonic plate as the so-called Middle East. The Middle East goes back to the 1800s. This is a new term. Before that, it was just Northeast Africa. A Jewish kingdom is set there and governed by the Afriyat family. Now, that Afriyat is where we get Africa, and I'm going to show you, I can show more sources on that, but I just want y'all to see, and that this is linked to Ephrati. The Jews of this kingdom in Morocco are believed to belong to the tribe of Ephraim. So, y'all, family, this is the Jewish Virtual Library talking about African Black Jews. This is talking about in Cambridge sources. We got Harvard sources. There's so many, family, that I could go through, but I don't want to kind of lose y'all and all of that. I do want to kind of, let me stop sharing for a second, just to get y'all to start thinking, because I know a lot of y'all are like, this can't be true. Ain't no way that we're linked to no Jews. Them white folks, then those. Understand, thousands of years ago, before the influx of Europeans hijacking the land and hijacking cultures, that our people were linked to the ancient Natufian Israelites. There's a Harvard study in 2011 that was done that verifies Negro Natufian DNA found in Israel, right? This is before the Jewish people. So I need y'all to understand that before they came into power, the Black people, the Black Israelites, were in Africa. These were a Black people. There always been a Black people. Their descendants were scattered to the four corners of the earth. A lot of those Moroccan, indigenous Moroccans, because a lot of y'all think North Africa is white today, that continent thousands of years ago, these were Black Moroccan people, Black Berbers, Black Amazigh people, Black Jews, the Jews and Moors of Spain. These were not white people. These were not white Jews that were banished and kicked out. They fled persecution. This is why a lot of Africans today might be Muslim, because during that time, the Muslims did have peace with these Jews, and allowed them to live if they converted to Islam. So you had Israelites that were masquerading around as Muslims to protect themselves. Now, during the Jews and the Moors of Spain during that time period, the Christian church was set up to oppress these black Israelites. They were killing them. If you were keeping Torah, if you grew your beard out, if you said that you didn't eat pork and that kind of thing, a lot of that not eating pork is a Middle Eastern lifestyle that the Muslims keep as well as Israelites. So if they didn't keep the Christian faith, virgin birth, Christmas trees, all this chaos that they had going on, they were persecuted, and that's why they were banished. These were not white people. These were black Negroes. A prominent family of these Sephardic Spanish Jews was the Yahya Negro family. The word Negro originates from 1500s, the 1555. The word Negro is Spanish in origin. So every time we call ourselves Negro, it goes back to that Spanish history, i.e. the Jews and Moors of Spain. Moor just being a national term for black. But you had some Moors that were Islamic and some Moors that were Jewish and practiced Torah. But they all come from an Israelite Ephrati stock, right? And they were kicked out of Europe because we was keeping our Middle Eastern way of life, right? And a lot of Africans today have that Islamic culture. Some of them practice Torah, like the Bani Ephraim, the Igbo of Nigeria. A lot of them say they descend from Gad's eighth son Eri that migrated into Nigeria. So a lot of the Nigerians, in Acts 13:1, the early church were called niggers or Niger. And then you'll read it, Acts 13, chapter 13, verse 1. And I know this is heavy. I mean, Song of Solomon 1:5 says, I am black but beautiful. Job 30:30, my skin is black upon me. Judges 16:13, Delilah cut the 7 locks off Samson's head. Y'all, that Bible is a black book. The first rivers, Ethiopia, surrounding that region, Euphrates. In Zephaniah, it says, beyond the rivers of Ethiopia are my dispersed ones. The Bible prophesies as a history book that people would migrate deeper into the continent to hide, to run. Christopher Columbus had a Moorish person that could speak Hebrew navigate him to the Americas as well as West Africa, where he notified the European authorities, and they knew to find those people. We are the last remnants of that original black people that ruled the continent before they were banished.
Very well said, brother. And let me go ahead and say this to try to even break the mind of people even a little bit more, because it's hard for people to understand that when you see in Egypt, or you see in Morocco, in the northern plains of Africa, that you see Arabs that are light-skinned, white-skinned people, and you're like, nah, that's always been. No. Do you know the natives are saying the same story about America before the European? We were right here. We weren't all like Europeans here just 200 years ago. That the natives in America was moved out the way when the so-called run for America from Europe came with millions of Europeans to overtake a new land for themselves, and it don't look the way it looks today just 200 years ago. And so then the story is told just like we're saying our story is. It's been the bait switch. It's been the remove you out the way. You know, it's like Eminem being the face of hip hop. It's like in Jamaica, they just gave an award to a white group for the best Jamaican album. I mean, it's like, you know, give it 20 more years and you're moved out the way, and your kids are going to be thinking that they're the ones who originated all this stuff. And so we have to understand what over time in history, people can remove you out the way, take your culture, embrace it, and call it their own. I'm here in Africa right now, and I'm sitting here watching Europeans who have taken on the locks, who's taken on the clothing, who's got the languages, it could be the Chinaman, the Indian man, it could be, because they've been around here over here in Tanzania for hundreds and hundreds of years. And yet they speak the language, embrace the cultures, taking on the religions and all these other things. And you would think this was their land, and it wasn't so. Continue, brother.
That's crazy. Like, I mean, the brother said it perfectly. Like, how they just colonized and they will replace you. I don't know if y'all seen like the movie Get Out or Us or something like that. Y'all, that stuff hits it right on the head. How white people, they have hijacked our culture. Like even when you look at Elvis being the Prince of Pop and that kind of thing, before him, I forget the brother's name, it slipped my mind right there. That came before him, that they attribute a lot of those songs to this brother. And if that's just over the space, like the brother said, of 200 years, where they can replace the natives, they can replace black people and their contribution to music, imagine over hundreds of years. I argue, family, that there is no culture that the Europeans originated other than warfare and conquering other people. They've had no unique culture of their own. And I don't say this out of hate. I have a lot of European brothers and sisters that support this work and that agree that our history as a people has been hijacked for the cause of making this narrative of white people having all the culture, having all the history, and this kind of thing. The ancient Israelites, that's why that Bible was used against our people, because it has this mental effect to enslave us, because there is a strong remnant of truth that resonates with your spirit. And I know that might sound deep, family, but the best weapon to control somebody is them, but twisted, taking their own history and using it against them. That's why white Jesus, this is a slave tactic to, because you got to look at the Willie Lynch letter. They took the image of a strong black man, tied him to two horses, and caused the horses to run. And they put this image in front of the wife of the kids, the mother of the kids, so that she would teach that spirit to the kids. White Jesus is that same thing. It shows the image of what was a black man crucified by European Roman authorities and used that to instill fear and a lack of history into all of our people. This stuff is conquest. This is a warfare mindset. So for Pan-Africanism and our people to truly come together, we have to know our history and rally behind an identity that the history, that the oral tradition, all of this is verified. That's how we got next, family. That's how we become this world without end. That's how we're raised up, the African diaspora, the African continent. That's how that happens, under an identity. If we never can sit down and find out who we are, we're always going to be divided. We're always going to say, well, you know, we ain't, niggas ain't SH and all this stuff. We're always going to do that until we know who we are and come together under that identity. And that's what white people fear. I'm going to show y'all something. In the FBI file by Malcolm on Malcolm X, J. Edgar Hoover, who was receiving federal funding from the United States government, and we say that one more time, J. Edgar Hoover was receiving funding from the United States government. COINTELPRO, he became the fall guy, but understand this was an American agenda. And the number one agenda of COINTELPRO was to prevent the rise of a black messiah. When you look at Fred Hampton, the Black Panther Party, they did things like sow discord. When you look at the Nation of Islam with Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X, they sowed discord. All of this was to keep black people, the diaspora, from coming together as a unit under a history, because that's the threat to the Western European power construct, is our people coming together under our history, under a collective identity, because we got the resources on the African continent. That's the land flowing with milk and honey. And I can go all into how that was the promised land. That was promised to Abraham and the patriarchs. Africa is that land. The Creator has given us all the resources, the gold, the minerals used for our cell phones. All of that is found in our homeland. And white people fear. That's why they got a hand in the continent. Like Go Black, the brother said, how they got Asians. And Asia has a secret agenda, y'all, to take over that continent. And a lot of those South African white people, I forget the one of the prime minister or the president of South Africa was trying to kick them off the land, really. He caught a lot of resistance and that kind of thing for trying to reclaim South Africa, because you got white folks over there that's saying that this is their land. And I'm like, how'd you get here? This only took place during King Leopold of Belgium, Germany, where they divided the continent as an African pie. That's why I tell y'all there's many tribes, but they're all linked to the ancient Moroccan people, the ancient Moroccan Ephraimite Israelite people, when you go further and further back in time. But now you got white folks in there saying, this is our land, this is our history, this is our culture, and they're slowly trying to move us off the scene, like the movie Get Out or Us, where they're trying to replace us with their version of us. They're replacing us with them taking our history, basically. And that's white Jesus, right? So I got some more sources, but I don't know how much time we got, and I don't know.
Oh, you got 45 minutes, bro.
Awesome. I'm gonna share my screen one
Oh,
more
you got
time
40 minutes. Yeah, 40 minutes.
and just kind of show you a few more sources to show this. When you look at the Jewish Virtual Library, not the Jewish Virtual Library, but a work by Jerusalem called the Sefer Ner HaMarav. Now, this goes back to 1910 in Jerusalem. This is in Jerusalem Library. I could not find a physical copy because I would have purchased it myself. But it says the Jews of Wifran. This is the same Wifran that we saw in the Jewish Virtual Library that talks about these Moroccan.
You want to share your screen? You want to share your screen or?
Oh, is it? Oh, it's not sharing it. Oh man.
No.
Yes. Let me pull it. Let me see if it. I hope can everybody see it? Is it coming through?
Yeah, you can.
Awesome,
yeah,
awesome.
you can.
When you look at the Jerusalem Library in 1910, the Sefer Ner HaMarav, it talks about the Jews of Wifran having this Judeo-African origin. All right, this is the same Jewish people of Morocco that we read about on the Jewish Virtual Library that were in Morocco. This is the same people that the Nigerians come from that we saw by Cambridge, that the Yoruba still have that intact oral tradition. Y'all, the oral tradition of our people is gold. Who our people say they are is who they are, and you can prove it. So when you look at the Jerusalem Library, it talks about this Ephraimite presence. It talks about these Ephraimites of Morocco. Now, why do I bring this up, family? Why do I keep harping on this history, harking on the Yoruba, harking on these Nigerians and that kind of thing? Just to get you guys to think, like ancient Israel was Africa. If you look at Egypt today, Upper Egypt is at the bottom and Lower Egypt is at the top. Same with Nubia. Upper Nubia is at the bottom. Lower Nubia on the map is at the top. Really, Africa is more like the Most High God's thumb, because if the Northern Kingdom is, we're talking about Palestine, Northeast Africa, or Israel today, the Northern Kingdom would have been in Africa. The Northern Kingdom, from a Bible standpoint, was led by Ephraim, led by the 10 lost tribes. A prime minister in 1995 of Israel sent a research team into Africa, into Nigeria, to search for the lost tribes. This Moroccan history is the linchpin that unifies the entire continent of our people under that Moroccan, Ephraimite, Israelite history. And this is what the powers that be fear. They fear our people finding this history out, that Africa, we the chosen people. This is the promised land. We are the descendants of those ancient black Negro Israelites before Europeans got the Bible, before the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, before the colonists weaponized our history and used it against us. That's why if you look at our leaders that were assassinated, and I know I'm dropping a lot of nuggets, y'all. If you look at our leaders that were assassinated, white people used black people to assassinate them. From Dr. King to Malcolm X, they've been using us against us, using our history against us, using white Jesus to enslave our minds, because there's a certain aspect of that history that resonates with our spirit, and we don't understand why. It's because you be them people. You the people of the book, and they do not want our people to grab hold of that, because the history, the sources, Harvard. I got a Harvard publishing book, The Black Jews of Africa, by Dr. Tudor Parfit. I got Oxford, Dr. Edith Bruder, The Black Jews of Africa. The Limba tribe, y'all check out that documentary. You search that on YouTube. The Limba still maintain the oral tradition. They tested their DNA, and it goes back to the Levites. When you look at the Ashanti high priest that wears the ephod with the 12 stones of the 12 tribes of Israel, y'all, there's so many Israelite tribes within Africa that to this day still retain that oral tradition, those practices, those customs, the 8-day circumcision. I think Brother Go Black had a naming ceremony when he went to Ghana, that those Ghana people still do this thing to this day. And our people think that's the white man, that's the Jewish people. But these are the modern Jewish people. That's why they had to take that land, because they knew we might figure this out. Now, with the Ukraine thing, I can go into what they got going on trying to get out of there. But the point is, the ancient Israelites were black people. The name of Africa comes from the Afriyat family, that Ephraimite family of Morocco, because Morocco was originally the heartbeat of Africa. Because before the sub-Saharan Negroes, the Bantus migrated deeper, that most of Africa was within the northern region. When you look at Egypt, when you look at Carthage, when you look at that northern region. So Africa was synonymous with Morocco in antiquity, and the descendants of those ancient Black Moroccan Berbers, Amazigh people went deeper into the continent. But that's our land, y'all. That belongs to the so-called Black people scattered to the four corners of the earth.
Beautifully said, brother. Let me say this right here to our brothers and sisters out there. This ain't for everybody. And there are those out there, and I know my man Brandon's out there trolling. Keep sending the money, brother. Stop being cheap. Send every message you send that you want me to read, put $50 on it, okay? But let me say this to the brothers and sisters. Our brother JB Zion had already said, and it's been proven, 70% of the people had the Yoruba or the what was others attached to DNA,
the Igbo,
the Igbos, and so 30% of those were of others. But let me say this right here: this ain't for everybody to receive, because you can be what you want to be if you want to. This ain't trying to put you in force and put labels and names on top of you. This is for you to be able to see where the truth is, where it lies, instead of the lyings that were done within the classrooms and having us believing that we are just these nothing but low down, good for nothing Black people coming from Africa that was just only good for being slaves. You see, only the spirit can waken up the truth within a man. So it's evident, if you don't believe that you are it, guess what? You ain't it. So nobody has to convince you unless there is the spirit that awakens you to show you that you are. This is why I chose to go ahead and do this. Why? Because many are called, but few are chosen, to be able to put in a work, to be able to bring a people out of Babylon. Because you're always going to have the naysayers who are going to try to keep you in. That's just a matter of fact. But now, what is this? Because I'm about resolution. It ain't about just having conversation and then we just say goodbye. Hey, glad you tuned in and you heard what we had to say. Action speaks louder than words, because once you find that your heritage, that your position, that you're being a king, queen, or being a chosen, these names that we hear, being awake, being woke, being asleep, when you finally realize that you are part of the cloth, that you are connected to the Almighty, that you are the apple of the eye, that you have been chosen to be the example of the world, that you are supposed to be walking in the spirit. When you embrace that and say, my goodness, what a responsibility that I have to be the example for the world to follow, because I look at myself as the Almighty. There was a day that I act and behave like I was the devil, if you will, or of evil spirit. But when I was touched and brought back into a fold, I realized no more. I am somebody. I'm special. I am that. But I get it when people who will fight against truth and say, no, we're not. No, we're not. That's just a lie. They are the people, this and that. That's okay. Because in Revelations, it even speaks of those who call themselves Jews, though they are not. Now, who are calling themselves that but us? We're the only ones who ain't calling ourselves. But everybody's trying to squeeze in to be the people. And we're the ones who are denying ourselves. You see, I've told people this right here. The Bible is a history. I don't look at it as the be all, to be the voice of God. No, that's in the spirit. But when you have a historical proof of what been left from years, you rather listen to a 10-year-old book than a historical that's old and thousands of years ago. You rather go to your local library and read something from a joker who came from Europe 100 years ago than looking at historical information that has been proven in the hands, in our people, hidden in Timbuktu, hidden in a lot of places around the world of the truth, because they know that people are looking for the truth. They know that they are trying to take the truth. That's why when the Europeans came, they burnt libraries. That's why they burnt history. They tried to destroy statues. They cut off noses. They wanted to do away with the lips because they didn't want you to know you are the people. I've been there in Ethiopia. I was there in Egypt. I was there in Spain. I was there in Italy. I was there in England. I've been through all that information, and they tell, at least they got it in their museums and showing who we are. They took everything out of Africa. They stole it all and put it in their museums and hide the truth. And yet we are the ignorant ones. We go to the Europeans or America, for that case, go to their museums, and it says nothing about who we are. Not a thing. And so as soon as I look like in the chats and you see just a couple people who are lost, that's okay. Maybe you're not. Maybe the Spirit is telling you, no, you're not one of them. And so you upset because you should be moving on to another channel instead of being up in here arguing that you're not. No, you're not. I agree with you. You're not. You are not the one until it's revealed to you, and it may never be revealed to you because sometimes you just ain't got what it take, kid. You know, like on what was it? The movie Matrix, the Matrix, you know. When they, you know, that whole depiction was nothing more than trying to show who's the chosen one. And then, you know, the Oracle is telling them, well, you might not be the one, kid. You're just not cut out to be the one. You know, a lot of people, hey, every brother ain't a brother because of his skin color. I'm sorry to say that, but you know what? In the spirit is a different thing. In the spirit is a different thing. So, brother, I'm gonna pass it back on to you, man, and whatever else you got to share, man, please do.
Yeah, I love everything the brother said. Y'all got, and I know it's hard to kind of follow some of this stuff. It's a culture shock to a lot of you. I'm still kind of filling out the audience, y'all. I just seen the comments. I can just click the comments button. But and shout out to all the Zion Dynasty family. Shout out to y'all just coming out, supporting, and that kind of thing. But yeah, the purpose of what me and my big bro are trying to do is to get you guys to think, right? It's not no mandate of, because I know a lot of our people are coming from a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different ideologies. And it's still hard for us to recognize what is our culture and what is not our culture, right? And that's just a part of the growing pains of any nation. Every people go through this. But the biggest thing that I want you guys to take from this is that we need to look to ourselves. We need to be self-sufficient in our minds to think like a nation, right? To question everything we've been told, to question everything until the Most High, the Creator, shows us and brings us together under our identity. A lot of what we believe, a lot of y'all saying, well, I can't believe that, and I don't believe what you're saying, bro, and that ain't the truth. That's the white folks' religion, or that's this and that's that. Just search this stuff for yourself. I'm just trying to get the ball rolling. I'm just trying to get you to think this way, that there has been a lot that has been taken from us as a people, and a lot of our history used against us. That's a weapon. That's a warfare mindset, right? So the biggest thing I just want you to get away from this, family, is that we are that people. The ancient people that ruled the earth were a black African people, right? The ancient Israelites of the scriptures were a black people. Our people descend, and I love what Go Black said about the Bible being a history book. Understand, that is the history and the heritage of a family. Before Europeans got hold of that book and used it as a worldwide religion, that Bible was never intended for that. That Bible was a family's culture, the way they lived, the way they ate, the diet, what they called clean and what they called unclean. This belonged to a family first before it was used as a religion. A lot of us think of it, oh, that's just religion. That's religion. No, that's what we've been taught. That's the matrix that has been implanted in your minds to look at your own history as religion. So we reject it when we don't know that Bible is the history book and the culture of black people today, if you will receive it. And I know a lot of y'all, I know it's hard. Me and Go Black, we're trying to get y'all there to start to just think this way, right? To just think that we could be that people. The evidence, I can show y'all Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge, UNESCO, the Library of Congress. I can show you White House memorandums. I can show you all that information. But if you're not open to at least just get the ball rolling, just start thinking that perhaps they stole our history and used it against us. Until you start to at least think like that, you're going to be plugged into that matrix to an extent until you're willing to at least start thinking about these things. And I'm going to turn it back over to Go Black, because he was hitting it right on the head. I don't want to slow down. He was
oh no, brother. Hey man, you're doing a great job, man. And my thing is, brothers and sisters, is that, you know, like I said before, I ain't trying to convince anybody. I'm just presenting. I'm presenting information. JB Zion is presenting the information, and my thing is that we can sit back and just allow other people to paint the picture, tell the story, to film the media from the media, to, you know, to write the narrative. All of these things we sit back and allow others to do, but we don't go do for ourselves. We won't go do any. We let everybody tell us who we are. We let everybody is up here trying to dictate that you black and you African American, you this, you that, this and that. I mean, it is ridiculous that we can sit back and not go to know truth for oneself. Isn't it amazing? Let me lay this out here. Isn't it amazing that when you don't know who you are, how we behave? Look at our situation in some of these countries. Look what we do. Look what all is. I'm talking from South America to the central to the north to England to, y'all know, in the black community, it's upside down.
Facts.
We act like we done lost our minds. We done become a more of those who we have, that we live in their economy, their systems, and their governments. We have become and behave and fell into a trap. And we need to come out of that, because if we are to save not just yourself, but we're talking about your children, we're talking about your children's children. Because eventually what happens is that when people don't care anything about themselves, they do away with you, which has been the war been going on against us for the longest, trying to do away with. I'm here in Africa right now. I see those agents. I see those who have the intentions of trying to do away with and trying to squeeze in, trying to move in and overtake. Facts. Y'all know gentrification. Hasn't it happened in your neighborhoods, in the hoods? They're coming in and removing and taking out and moving you away. We see this. And then when it comes down to, okay, all right, the arguments that we... It blows my mind that now conversations that black folks are having is whether or not you male or female. When you don't know who you are, they're going to tell you who you are. I've told my kids from the day they came out their mama's womb, you best to know who you are, because this system in this world we live in, they were going to try to switcheroo you, get you confused, have you thinking you're something that you're not. If you can do it with your color, now you see they're trying to do it with the gender. Come on, what else is they going to do? And yet we just walk on by, being complacent, being ignorant, because what? You comfortable in where you live at, thinking you achieved something when the war is totally against you on a spiritual level? Facts. So I thank you, brother. Anything you have else, please share your social media. If you have any other information you would like to, man. I'm just thankful, man. You was able to come in, man, and share, your knowledge. Like I said, family, I came across my brother's channel and I said, man, this brother's putting work in. And that, that was me, man. I was all in, and like I said, when I used to call myself a Christian, see, they try to get you to label yourself and then to go and get you trapped in beyond in what you are. I had to come out of that mindset. Being that minister, had my biblical studies, theologies, bachelor's degrees, and I was all into that, reading and studying this book, but I was only reading the black ink on the paper. I didn't delve in spiritually, let alone remove myself out of the European storytelling and go into some other countries and see their history and where does it all fit in at. So then truth starts to reveal itself, because now you have broadened your horizon of knowledge. Now you see that, the unconnected dots, by sitting in a country that only feeds you their history, that you have no privilege of others to be able to take you full circle in knowing what truth is why we're lost.
Facts.
So please give us your information, brother. Please share with us.
And y'all, if y'all want to check out more teaching, I go in more detail on Zion Dynasty, the channel, YouTube channel. And we're still working on a lot of other different kind of ways to get this information out. I'm still trying to work on my social media game, y'all, so bear with me. But Zion Dynasty, we do a lot, and you guys can email me as well at iamjbzion@gmail.com if you guys have any more questions and that kind of thing. But I just love my big bro, and I just got to thank him from the bottom of my heart for allowing us to come on the platform, just welcoming me, encouraging me, just giving me a lot of insight. Like before we went live, just kind of encouraged me about the journey that I'm on that he also can identify with. And it's crazy. Like when we talk about the whole Christian thing, I don't call myself a Christian, and most Israelites don't, because we know the history. And a lot of our people don't know how to separate from the white man's religion, which is Christianity. And I know it might hurt, but I don't want to scare off your people. Like I don't want to scare off the Christians that are on the channel that that identify with the Bible. But what we're saying is Christianity today is not the same as the Bible. It is not, family. And anybody that thinks that, just do a little research, do a little history. A lot of that white Jesus, a lot of the Christian tenets that we do today were not thousands of years ago, were not during the time of the historical Christ, Yeshua. Even his name is a transliteration. Jesus, Jesus, pays homage to the Greco-Roman gods. The New Testament was written in Greek. So this is people looking at another people's culture and writing it in their perspective. And I know it's heavy. But you just got to kind of start questioning these things. And the power is the God of the scriptures, the creator, was able to take the remnants of that book and piece together a people that have been destroyed. Y'all hear what I'm saying? A lot of our history, the prophecies of Deuteronomy 28, that you would go into slavery on slave ships, that you would have a yoke of iron around your neck, that you would go into Egypt as bond women and bondmen, that a nation as swift as the eagle flies would carry you away into another nation, a people's language you will not understand. That Bible is a history prophetic book of epic proportion, because it is to the black man, it is to the black woman, it is to the remnant of that ruling black family of Africa that have been scattered to the four corners of the earth. And y'all just bear with me. Y'all, that channel, I'm going to more detail, and me and my big bro, hopefully we're going to be building more where I can kind of drop more nuggets as well. But y'all just start thinking like this. Start thinking that Bible has been used as a tool to conquer our minds through Christianity, but that same book, the historicity of the text, is actually our history that has been whitewashed by the European power construct. So y'all, I just hope y'all just research this stuff. If y'all have any questions, y'all just post them in the comments and that kind of thing, and Go Black and kind of help you guys with that. Y'all just get fired up about this stuff. I hope I ain't coming off too strong and that kind of thing. I love our people, and we got to come together, family. We got to work towards going back to Africa mentally, spiritually, and even physically, if y'all can hear it, right? And we have to use our gifts, our abilities, all of that stuff to build up our family, build up our continent. They want to give it to us. White folks say all the time, well, y'all go back to Africa. If y'all unhappy here in America, go back to Africa. Okay, we'll go back and we'll rebuild and we'll restore our history. And we don't need, because we the same people that built America anyway, that have built the Europe, and I know this is heavy, have built the European power construct through 400 years of free slave labor, where they just got to sit down and watch us boom their agricultural economy, which led to the Industrial Revolution, which led to America being the superpower that she is today, was off of our backs, off of our forefathers' back, the same slavery that built Egypt thousands of years ago. So with that, family, y'all just reach out to your boy at iamjbzion@gmail.com. Zion Dynasty, y'all can check out where we do more lessons on this history in more detail and kind of go through a lot of these sources where the scholars know our history. They know who we are. They know we the people. That's why they used our history against us.
So I appreciate you, brother. And let me say this right here in closing. Let's not forget about the slave trade by the Muslims to the east of Africa. Because when we talk about you should be scattered to the four corners of earth, see, a lot of us don't even know the history that the before the transatlantic slave trade was the when the Arabs, the Muslims came in and enslaved the Africans and took them east. So we got to understand when we talk about this four corners of the earth when we were scattered abroad. So keep that in mind. And here in Tanzania, they have the historical information. They have the if you will, the dungeons here of the slaves, the slave trade that happened. They got the story and the history, just like over in Ghana, just like over in Senegal, just like over in the Gambia. You know, these are all historical information that put the pieces to your puzzle to prove what that is. And then, so keep in mind, I'm going to be doing tours, all right? I'm going to be doing tours in several countries. But the spiritual journeys I'm going to be doing is in Ghana and Ethiopia. Because Ethiopia, before the Bible that you know of, actually was in the hands of the Africans.
Yes.
Way before the Europeans come. You can find these books, these manuscripts that existed for thousands of years.
Talk about
Did you know that Ethiopia takes claim that they have the Ark of the Covenant?
Bring it out.
They're in Ethiopia. But did you also know that, interesting enough, over in Israel, they're claiming that they have the Ark of the Covenant. Now, that story was just new like 1948 when the Jewish people moved over into the region. It's not thousands of years. Check my videos out when I was in Ethiopia of the depiction of this Yeshua, Jesus y'all call, the color of the skin, the afro he had. This was back in 1100, way before 1610, when the European wanted to paint a picture of a white Jesus. So I appreciate you, JB, for coming in, sharing that information. You know, for those there want to subscribe to his channel, please go do and gain some information, you know, beyond and what somebody else is spoon feeding you their story. At least be spoon fed your story. Anyway, family, I thank each and every one of you all for coming in. Thank you for your conversations in the chat. Thank you for those who had a heart of giving monetarily, those who gave their time just to come and listen, and those who give their loves and their prayers. I cannot tell you, I would be remiss without giving thanks for those who keep my name in their spirit to the Most High for the protection of me and my travels. I cannot say enough for you all who are keeping me in your prayers. With that, family, this is your man, and this is your
favorite dreaded Israelite.
Go Black to Africa. Peace out, family. You sit tight real quick, JB, while I close it up.